Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Alex Mackenzie.
Fredericton, how you guys doing? Oh my God, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. I am very excited. So fun. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Alex. Oh, thank you. So I've been described as a happiness cheerleader, okay? Kind of like a Labrador retriever. So if anyone here needs anything, let me know. Love to go get it for you. Okay? Now, when I do comedy, my goal is to never offend anyone. I don't want to offend you. I don't want to upset you. I want to make you feel good, right? That's kind of our deal, you know? You pay me money. I make you feel good. Kind of like a prostitute. Except my job's harder because I'm not allowed to touch you. So before we get too into it, what I want you to do, I want you to look at whoever it was who arranged these tickets for you. Give him a little squeeze, would ya? A little love for the amazing time we're gonna have here tonight. Oh, so much fun out there. So you guys, 5 years ago, I gave up everything in my life for comedy. My house, my job, the respect of my family. Then I bought a van for me and my dog to tour around in. Now people always ask me, they're like, dude, what's it like to live in a van? If you wanna know, go into any room in your house, shut the door. Now live in that. They were like, this sucks, I want out. You can't. Now the best way I can describe it is like, you know when you get really drunk and you black out and you wake up in a random spot? It's that all the time. Like every morning I wake up and I'm just like, where am I? And I open the window, I'm like, oh, sport check. Like, what did I do last night? Like, I gotta get home to Walmart. Now, I'm originally from Prince George, BC. Yeah, it's a very lovely town. It's a very industrial town, you know, not very artsy. So whenever I go home and I see my friends, they never ask about my comedy career. Like, none of them care how my comedy career is going. The only thing they want to know about is if I'm hooking up with chicks. They're like, dude, you must pick up so many chicks, like touring around the country in your van with your dog, doing stand-up comedy. Let me give you guys a little tip, okay? If you want to pick up chicks, first of all, don't quit your job. And then sell your house and move into one on wheels, okay? Yeah, do you know how hard it is to get a girl into a white van? With tinted windows? Like, they've been warned of this their whole lives. And I'm like, but don't worry, miss, there's a puppy inside. Yeah, that's what the kidnappers say, right? Although I'll tell you, ladies, I thought it was gonna be easy to get a girlfriend, because when I go online, in all your online profiles, you're all like, I love travel, and camping, and adventures. Then get in the van. That's a good laugh. So I've been very lucky in my stand-up comedy career, you guys. I've got to travel all over the world. I recently did a coast-to-coast tour of Australia. Now, when I was in Australia, I had something happen to me I've never had happen anywhere in the world. I got stuck in an elevator. Yes, 42 degrees, stuck in an elevator. Now, people always ask, they're like, who would you want to be stuck in an elevator with? Turns out, not myself. I'm just so annoying. I just talk way too much, you know? And I'm not used to being alone because I'm a middle child, hence the need for attention. So So I come from a very loving family. My parents have actually been married for 40 years. Round of applause for married people. That's the energy of marriage right there, eh? Woo! We're doing it. I love it, I'll tell you. My parents' marriage, a lot of love there, doesn't look fun. To me, marriage looks like taking your favorite song in the whole wide world and then making it your alarm clock, you know? Like, you used to bring me so much joy, but waking up to you every morning. Now, the thing that holds my parents' marriage together is video games. It's wild, man. Like, my mom is retired, and she plays more Fortnite than anyone I know. And it's always been this way. Like, when we were young, our family game night used to be like watching my dad. He was Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. And then my mom would sit beside him with the strategy guide. And it was perfect, because it combined their two favorite things. Like, my dad got to play video games, and then my mom got to tell my dad what to do. So she loved it. And then my mom, how can I describe my mother? So her name's Coral Mackenzie, very sweet lady. And she's like a real knick-knack lady. So if you don't know what a knick-knack lady is, it's basically like if there was this stool here, anything with a flat surface, she's putting something on it. And it's all just junk, it's garbage. Like, my mom keeps stuff that doesn't even work anymore, like my father. And it's all for decoration. Like, none of it does anything. And if you go near it, she's like, hey, leave that alone, put that down, don't touch that, that's just for decoration. I'm like, sorry, Mom, I was just trying to give Dad a hug. I'm just kidding, you guys. I've never hugged my father. And then my dad, he's Bill Mackenzie, real old school kind of guy, you know, like a protector-provider. So my dad worked at the pulp mill in Prince George for 40 years to provide for the family. Now, not to be outdone, my mother also worked very hard for 40 years making sure my dad worked at the pulp mill to provide for the family. So it was like a good team effort that they had going on, you know? And then my dad's form of protection is just fear. He's just like, strike so much fear into these kids. They never do anything, that way they won't get hurt. So with my dad, you're never more than 2 or 3 steps away from either jail or death. Like, doesn't matter what you're doing, that's where you're going, you know? When I was 17, I was gonna loan my truck to my buddy Brett to take a load of garbage to the dump. And my dad's like, do you wanna go to jail? By the way, my dad, deepest voice on the planet. It's so intimidating when he talks, people just start apologizing for no reason, you know? And he had a very successful career at the mill. So he started out as like the broom sweeper guy. And by the end, he was like the general manager at Camphor Pulp. And I think the whole thing was his voice. Like, I think everyone he talked to above him just quit out of fear, you know? Then my dad would be like, hey, Gary, what are we doing with that pile of shit by the hog reclaim? And Gary's like, oh, whatever you want, Bill. Actually, you're the boss now. I quit. So my dad's giving me the gears about going to loan my truck out, right? He's like, let's think about this. You're gonna loan your truck to Brett. Brett's never driven a truck. He's not watching where he's going. He's worried about losing his load. Aren't we all? Now, a kid runs out in the street, Brett doesn't see him, runs him over, someone just ran over a kid in your truck, you're going to jail. Do you want to give him your truck? I'm like, what? Like, Dad, I don't think that's how that works at all, you know? Or I was gonna start playing like contact hockey again, and my dad's like, do you wanna die? Like, think about it. He's like, you're gonna go play hockey. You're excited. Woohoo! I'm gonna play hockey. You throw your gear in the back of the truck. You're backing out the driveway. You get T-boned. You're dead. Do you wanna play hockey? And I'm like, I didn't even make it out the driveway? I'm like, what is going on in this guy's head that everything is a doomsday scenario? But then I thought about it, right? By the time my dad was my age, so I'm 36, he already had 3 kids, a mortgage, a marriage. Like, this guy was hanging on by a thread, you know? He's like, as long as none of these kids die or end up in jail, I did my job, all right? So now that I'm getting older, I've been thinking a lot about having kids. I'm like, I really want to have them, but I don't feel ready to have kids, you know? But when I talk to people, they say, you're never really ready. They're like, you just kind of got to do it, you know? So I asked my dad, I said, Dad, were you ready to have me? Was I planned? Did you plan me? And my dad goes, did I plan you? He goes, Alex, who the hell plans on having a 36-year-old son live in their driveway? And that's the thing about kids. I think there's just certain things that you can't plan for, you know? There's gonna be some scenarios that come up that you're not gonna know how to deal with. You could read every parenting book out there, and you're gonna get thrown a curveball. So I'm gonna tell you my favorite story about my younger brother. So when my brother was 4 years old, I was 6, we were on our way home from a camping trip, and my dad took us by a car wash. Now it was one of the ones where you like put the loonie in, you know, and you do that thing. So my dad is out there washing the truck. My brother, 4 years old, right? Curious little kid, starts digging around the glove box. What does he find? A can of bear mace. I know, right? Now, when I was in Australia, they didn't know what bear mace was, so I had to explain it to them, and I think I did a pretty good job. So here's how I did it. So I was like, okay, so bear mace is basically like really, really strong pepper spray, okay? And what it's designed for is if you're out on a hike and you see a bear, you pull it out, you spray the bear in the face, and then the bear gets really mad and it eats you quick so you don't suffer. So my brother finds this bear mace, and then he just starts going to town on it, okay? He gets it, and he takes the wrapping paper off, takes the lid off. 4 years old. Blows past the child's safety. I'm looking at my brother, I'm like, holy shit, my brother's a genius. And that thought immediately fades, because my brother rotates that can 180 degrees, and from 4-year-old arm length away, he darts himself right in the face. So he starts screaming and freaking out, right? But here's the thing, my dad's out washing the truck, he can't hear shit, you know? He's just out there like, I don't know why the hell I ever got married. But the people in line behind, they can see us freaking out. So they start waving my dad down. And they're like, hey man, like, you better go check on your kids. Like, your kids are crying in there, you better go take a look. So my dad runs around the truck, opens the truck door, looks in, sees my brother, sees the bear mace, immediately realizes what has happened. Now, what my father does next is what any good man would do in this situation. So with one hand, he grabs my brother and pulls him out of the truck. And with the other, he starts pressure washing him in the face. Just... Now, the best part about this story, the people in line behind, they know nothing of the bear mace. So as far as they're concerned, they just went, hey man, your kid's crying. And my dad went, my kid, come here. You want something to cry about? So now the people in line behind, they start freaking out, right? And they start yelling at my dad. Here's another fun little fact, you guys. My dad doesn't know that they don't know about the bear mace. So then they start screaming at him. They're like, he's gonna die. My dad's like, I know. They're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna kill his kid. We gotta do something. So they yell, they're like, we're calling 911. My dad's like, well, you better tell him to hurry. And I wasn't helping, you know? The whole time I was in the back seat, I'm like, help, I'm next. So I don't know what parenting book you gotta read to prepare for that scenario. But it's coming. Now, I just love that story because it's the classic dumb dad, right? It's like the Homer Simpson of dads. Because now my dad has two very tough options in front of him. Number one, he has to call my mom and explain to her how the 4-year-old has been bear maced on his watch. Not an easy conversation. Or he can try and convince my mom that my brother never had eyebrows to begin with. Now, say that you do feel ready. You know, that story didn't scare you away, and you're like, I could deal with this, you know? I can deal with a bear macing scenario for my kid or whatever comes up, and you feel ready to have kids. A very important part is you have to pick the right person, okay? That's very important that you pick the right partner. Because here's the thing. Like, if you're an idiot, and your partner's an idiot, you're just gonna make a politician. We got plenty of those running around, you know? Don't need any more. And it's like, I'm just against certain pairings of people having kids, you know? Like, I don't think my parents should have had kids. I understand I wouldn't be here if that was the case. But all of us have major health problems. Like, my sister was born with hip dysplasia, like she was a Labrador retriever, okay? She had to get a new hip put in at the age of 30, which my brother-in-law brags about a lot, by the way. Like, oh yeah, I had to put a new hip in the old lady already, you know? Really getting the miles on her. You're like, okay, Clayton, I'm sure you did that damage, buddy. And then me, I have a lisp and I'm lactose intolerant, right? My brother has one functioning kidney. You're like, Mom and Dad, just stop. What are you doing? You clearly make a defective product. Me and my ex-girlfriend wanted kids. You know, she wanted them, I wanted them, we talked about it, and then we had to break up immediately. Because here's the thing, you guys, right? Like, I have a lisp, and she had a lazy eye. So we just looked at each other. Well, sorta. And we're like, we can't do this to some poor little kid, you know? Just this lispy, lazy-eyed kid running around. Like, I can cross the street and look both ways at the same time. Now, say that you feel ready and you got the right partner, okay? That's 2 of them done. We still got a ways to go. Because here's something people don't think of. Maybe you're not smart enough to be a parent, you know? I think that's a really big thing. I can't believe there's no test, nothing. Like, anyone can do it? We're just letting them freeball it out there? It's wild to me. I think it should be like, if you do something stupid, you end up on, like, parole. And then you have to meet with a parole officer, and they're like, are you done doing dumb shit? And then they're like, okay, here's your balls back, you know? Or I don't know exactly how we do it yet, but something like that. Like, I think it's like if you break your cell phone screen, you're like, you're not ready to have a kid for at least a year, okay? Or you get drunk at a party, piss your pants, no kids, 3 years. Now, if you yield at a merge, yeah, forget about a family, okay? You got way bigger problems to deal with in your life right now. Now, my sister said something so stupid that I feel like it should have disqualified her from having kids ever. Now, I've toured all over the world telling this story, and no one has beat the sentence that my sister said. So if you guys have a dumber one, or anyone watching at home, please tell me, and I would love to hear it. So, when my sister was 16 years old, she got her driver's license. And for that, my dad was like, congratulations, Maddie. Sorry, it was, congratulations, Maddie. Take the car, go pick up your friends, and go to school. So my sister took the car, she went and picked up her friends, and then she skipped school to go smoke pot in a gravel pit. And on her way, she got in a head-on collision with a dump truck. Yeah, frickin' nailed her, bud. Just... Now, everyone was okay. They all walked away from the accident, mostly because the car wouldn't drive anymore. But they had to go to the hospital to get checked out. So then my dad picked me up and was like, hey, we gotta go check on your sister. And when we get to the hospital, my sister and her friend are just having a time, you know? They're just giggling and laughing. They're like, that was crazy, hey, Caitlin? Now this pisses off my dad, right? So my dad goes over and just starts laying into my sister. And he's like, Maddie, how the hell you run into a dump truck? Huh? Biggest thing on the goddamn road. How do you not see that thing coming? And here's where my sister says what I think is the stupidest thing I've ever heard anyone say in the history of sayings. So my sister looks my dad dead in the eyes and goes, Dad, obviously you've never been in a car crash before. Because like when that airbag goes off, you can't see where you're going. I was like, am I high right now? I turned to my dad and I was like, Dad, I don't think this is the first time she skipped school. I think she's been skipping school for a while now. And it's crazy because that woman now has kids, right? Which is funny because she actually got pregnant the same way she got in that car crash. Yeah, like both times she was in a vehicle and she didn't know the other guy was coming. But she's a good mom, you guys, okay? I always give her a hard time. And she has the most important thing you need to raise a family, which is a house to raise them in, all right? I mean, I live in a van. Kids in vans, not a good look, okay? I actually got a speeding ticket in the school zone. Not even mad about it. Because here's the thing, you guys. It's better to be going too fast through a school zone than too slow through a school zone. When you're in a white van. No, I've always wanted to have kids. Like when I was younger in my 20s, I was actually a stepfather to a little girl named Chloe. And it was in her life from the time she was 1 till 5. And it was by far the most rewarding thing I've ever done with my life. I honestly think that's why I do comedy now. I'm just trying to fill the hole in my heart that this little girl left, you know? And even after me and the mom broke up, I would still take her on weekends. And when she got dropped off, she would get so excited. She'd go, Dad, guess what? It's just me and you tonight. You know what that means? We can do whatever we want. And I was like, perfect, drink. So I always told myself after that ended, I was like, if I end up being 35 years old and single, I'm going to adopt a little girl. Now, here's the thing, you guys. I'm 36 and single. I can't adopt a little girl. Can I? That's not how that's gonna go. I just show up, I'm like, do you have any 1 to 5-year-old little girls? Yeah, just put her in the van. Yeah, they're not gonna give me a little girl, are they? A criminal record is what they're gonna give me, you know? And I get nervous around kids because I live in a van. Like, if anything goes wrong, no one's gonna trust the lispy van guy, okay? I was in a swimming pool, and I was getting changed, so I went swimming, went to the sauna, and then I'm in the change room, and I'm getting naked. Now, spare the thought. Now, I'm in there, clothes are off, and then there's these kids must have got out of their swimming lessons, probably 8 years old. And then they all come running in the change room and they start running around. And this one kid comes and he parks himself right beside me, you guys. He could not have been closer to me. He was autistically close, you know? Right there. And then he starts taking his clothes off. So then he takes his pants off. And then he's wearing one of those Lycra swim shirts. And he pulls it up, it gets stuck over his head, and he panics, okay? He just starts screaming. He's like, help! Somebody help me! And I'm standing beside him. I'm like, this doesn't look good. And then the kid turns to me and he's like, hey, mister, can you help me? And I'm like, kid, I can't help you right now. He's like, why won't you help me? I'm like, here's the thing. you were just screaming help from the top of your lungs, okay? If your teacher or parent comes around that corner and sees me peeling your shirt off your naked body, yeah, I'm gonna need you to help me, okay? And just then, my dad's voice popped in the back of my head and goes, see, go to help a kid, now you're in jail. Anyway, I'm stuck in this elevator in Australia, right? Little sidetrack. Now, what had happened is I was on the top floor, and then I was trying to get down to the lobby so I could go to one of my gigs. Then halfway down, the elevator smashes into something and comes to a dead stop. Now, I didn't know what to do, never been in this situation, so I just started pushing buttons, you know? I was like, I pushed the button to go back up to my floor, because I'm like, maybe it's like my ex-girlfriend, you know? It just won't go down. So I try that, nothing. I push the door open button. Then eventually, the last button I have to push is the one that dials out to an emergency call center. And then an Australian picks up, which sucks, because you really want someone who speaks English. You ever try to understand these people? I can't hear a word they're saying. They're just, yeah, nah, yeah, water, nah, ner. So me and this lady are going back and forth, and I'm trying to explain to her I'm stuck in this elevator. Then she just stops me and she goes, hey mate, where's your accent from? And I go, oh shit, she probably thinks I'm American. She's gonna let me die in here. So I quickly explained to her, I go, oh, my accent, I'm Canadian. My accent's from Canada. But I thought it was so cool that they call it an accent, right? I'm like, I've never heard it called an accent. I'm like, back in Canada, we just call this a lisp. The rest of my time in Australia, I was trying to convince girls that my lisp was like a posh accent from back home, you know? I'm like, oh, this accent's from the northern regions of British Columbia. Yes. All the very successful men up there sound like this. And my lisp used to be really bad. It's got a lot better. I had to go to talking school for it. First question I had when I went to talking school, who put S in lisp? Yeah, what an asshole. Like, hey, you know that thing they struggle to say? Let's make them say it all the time. It'll be hilarious. But maybe they thought they were doing a favor, you know? They're like, ooh, they can describe it and demonstrate it all in one. Lisp. But I think it's pretty good having a lisp, you know? I think it's cool because it's one of the only ones you can pick up with multiple senses, right? Like you guys up in the balcony, you can hear it, right? That's cool. You can feel it, which is nice. Before I knew I had a lisp, I just thought it was always about to rain. I'd be out with my friends, and I'm like, hey, you guys want to play soccer? I'm like, oh, bit of a drizzle. Better head inside. And there were two particularly tough times in my life having a lisp. Number one was during COVID. COVID was not a good time to have a lisp. Nobody liked you. I got labeled as a super spreader. And then I used to get bullied a lot as a kid having a lisp. And it's tough because like no one will take you seriously when you have a lisp. Probably because the madder you get, the worse it gets. And then serious has two S's in it, a big two-banger, you know? So you're like, guys, I'm being serious. You're like, okay, Alex, we know you're a serious guy. You know? But then I realized that I was like, I'm a pretty big guy, you know? And I was like, you know what? If these kids don't like me, they're gonna respect me. And I started bullying kids. And let me tell you, doesn't work, okay? You can become the toughest man on the planet, and if you have a lisp, people are still gonna laugh in your face when you talk, as demonstrated by Mike Tyson. Yeah, remember Iron Mike? Dude, that guy was knocking people into another dimension, and yet every time he talked to reporters, they couldn't help but crack up in his face. He'd be like, hey Mike, how do you think this weekend's fight's gonna go? My opponent, he's gonna suffer in there. I'm a savage. I'm gonna strike him down. That little bitch is gonna wish he never stepped in the ring with me. Like, okay, go get him, you little freak, you know? But here's the thing, you guys. I don't think that Mike Tyson would have ever been Mike Tyson if it wasn't for his lisp. And I was told I would never be good at talking, and now I do it for a living. So if you can learn to embrace your flaws, they can become your biggest assets. Comedy and motivational speaking, huh? Didn't know you're getting that tonight, did ya? Now just remember, I do live in a van, okay? So take it with a grain of salt. So anyway, me and the lady on the phone, we're like going back and forth trying to talk, and she's like, have you pushed this button? Have you pushed that button? I don't know why she's British now, all of a sudden. I'm like, okay. I was like, look, I pushed every button in here. Like, the button to call you was the last button I thought to push. I'm like, I need your help. I'm stuck in an elevator. And she went, yeah, you are. And hung up. Yes, left me to die in there. Now it's 42 degrees, middle of Australian summer. I think I'm about to die in this elevator. And I still got this face. Just the biggest dumb smiley face. It's like the opposite of resting bitch face. Which, by the way, resting bitch face, not a real thing, okay? There's so many people, they're like, I'm not a bitch, I just have resting bitch face. Like, okay, and I don't have a lisp, it just sounds like it. Now, a couple things happen when you got a big dumb smiley face like this. Number one, you're gonna make people angry. Oh, if you want to piss off a grumpy person, be happy. They hate it. Like, they just see me coming down the sidewalk with the Lego theme song in my head, and just, everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. And they snap, dude. They just start yelling at me. They're like, how the hell are you so happy? Don't you know the whole world's burning and we're all about to die? Like, all right, relax. He is right about one thing, you know, we are all going to die. I mean, that is guaranteed. Everyone in here will die at some point. I think it'd be kind of nice if we all did it together at once. Wouldn't be so lonely, you know? And I have the exact opposite reaction to anyone who feels that way, that the world's falling apart. I think there's never been a better time to be alive. There's no time in history I'd ever want to be alive other than right now. Like, by any metric, it's way better. Like, life expectancy, all-time high. Violent crime, all-time low. The ability to see naked women on the internet, never been easier. Like, you know, the closest thing we used to have growing up was like those call girls on TV. Remember those? Just dancing around, they're like, call now. Those girls almost got my parents divorced, okay? It was actually more me and my brother, but I still blame them. So me and my brother, it was like late at night one time, and one of those came on. And me and my brother like, dude, we gotta call this number. This will be hilarious. So we call it, and here's the thing, I'm 36. I don't know how to talk to women now, all right? So back then, I was just like, who's your favorite Power Ranger? So we talk for 5 minutes, think nothing of it, hang up. End of the month rolls around. Phone bill comes in. I'm in my room playing, and all I can hear is my parents arguing in the kitchen. Next thing you know, my dad comes down, knocks on the door, just... He's got the phone bill in his hand. He goes, hey, Alex, you call any numbers on the TV lately? I'm like, no, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. And then all I can hear from the kitchen is my mother screaming, oh, yeah, sure, blame it on the kids' bill, you son of a bitch! And I was so worried about getting in trouble, I was gonna let him get divorced. I mean, it would have sucked, but 2 Christmases would have been sweet, right? But I think, like, I don't know another time you'd want to be alive. Like, imagine being alive 1,000 years ago when people lived to be, like, 30. Tell you, half this audience wouldn't be here right now. And this would be my last show, all right? Which would make for a very interesting closer. Very exciting. What, even 100 years ago? That would have sucked. You ever seen a photo from 100 years ago? Nobody's smiling. Pretty sure it was illegal to have fun. Imagine Tinder back then. It would just be a bunch of grumpy dudes holding their fish. But I get why people think that it used to be better, because I think it's very easy to romanticize the past, right? It's easy to look back and think things were better. I have a lot of friends doing it now. They don't seem to remember what we were like growing up, because my buddy's like, you know what, kids nowadays, they've got no respect for nothing. They're just a bunch of little shit rats running around. And I'm like, nowadays? Like, I remember being 12 years old with this guy, stealing a flat of Pepsi, taking it to a hill on the side of the highway, and then chucking full cans of pop at passing cars. Like, we were little shit rats. And I don't like the way the older generation judges the younger generation. Like, you'll hear old men, they're like, if you took a kid nowadays and you dropped them off in the middle of the woods, they would die. Okay, you freak. Like, first of all, if you took a kid and dropped them off in the middle of the woods, you would go to jail, okay? Like, and secondly, that kid would use Apple Maps and he'd be home in time to see you hauled away by child services. And I don't think these old men are any better, you know? You know how many times I've had to help them find the exit at Home Depot? Just an old guy in the door section pulling on levers. He's like, which one of these goes outside? Like, I'll walk you to your car, Pop Pop, come with me. Don't tell me what one it is. I'm guessing it's that one that's still running with the door open. I think by and far life is easier than it's ever been, other than one job. I think the job of being an inventor would have been a lot easier back then. Pretty easy to be an inventor before anything's invented, you know? I always picture the guy who came up with the spoon. He's like, look, I made a shovel for your face. Or the one that always gets me is like the car air fresheners. You know those ones, like the tree? Yeah, like that guy. That guy has more money than any of us could ever dream of having. And his whole idea was, hey, what if we made inside my car smell like outside my car? But like without opening the window. And now he never has to work again. It's wild. But the real trick to realizing that today's the best time to be alive is you have to get off the internet, okay? It is not a real place. And I'm reminded of that every time I tour to towns to do shows. Because like when I got here, I am greeted with so much hospitality. Like people see me out and they wave to me, they say hi, you know, they come get photos. They're the salt of the earth, the kindest people. A lot of people offer me their shower, which is weird. They're like, come park at my place, you can use my shower. Like, I don't know what that says about the way I look, but... But if you read the marketing, I don't know if you guys read the comments and the marketing for these shows, it is some of the meanest, most rude stuff you will ever read. Now, I'm gonna put it a lot nicer than the way that they worded it, okay? But someone commented, they put, I would rather watch this guy get done in the butt all night than do his act on stage. Which is weird, because it's the same guy who offered me a shower. So you gotta realize the internet isn't real. The healthiest thing you can do for your life is throw your phone in a ditch, all right? Now, the second thing that happens when you got a big dumb smiley face like this is I get called creepy a lot. Yeah, which I get. I mean, this face coming at you at 7 a.m., pretty off-putting. Just, hey. How's it going? Quite often, the first words a woman will say to me are, I have a boyfriend. And I'm like, that's cool. Can I order a coffee? Talk about him after? But that's the thing, nice and creepy are so close on the scale, right? They're like right there. Because a really nice gesture is like, if somebody gets you something that you like and you didn't have to ask for it, you know? That's a very sweet thing. However, the real determining factor there is how well you know the person and how good they look, all right? Because if you know them, that's great. But if you don't know them, the looks really play a big part in that. So if it's like non-good looking person, you're like, oh, get away from me, you stalker. How'd you know I like those? But if it's a good looking person, you're like, ooh, who's this mysterious man? And I'm a little looksist myself, okay? So I had my first, what we would call superfan last year. So what happened is I was doing a show in Kelowna, and this woman wrote into the show, and she told the producer, hey, I need Alex to call me, and left her number. And then the producer calls me up, and is like, hey, you gotta call this lady. And I was like, dude, I'm not calling that number. And he's like, he made me feel bad, you know? He's like, who do you think you are? You think you're some like big celebrity that like this girl's trying to get your number? And it made me feel bad. So I was like, oh no, it's going to my head. I better call this lady. So I call, she picks up, and she goes, hi, Alex. I've been expecting your call. I have a package for you. It was sent to my house instead of your house. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna stop you right there, because here's the thing, I don't have a house, so probably not for me. She goes, that's cool you don't have a house. I don't have a name, but you can call me Raven. How's your spiritual journey going? And I was like, I actually finished it, thanks, and I hung up. Now, 2 days later, I'm in a Walmart parking lot making my kitchen table into a bed, as you do when you live in a van. And it's an empty parking lot, and this car pulls in, and it drives all the way across the parking lot, and it parks right beside me, like so close. I'm like, is this that kid from the swimming pool again? What is going on? And then they get out, and they start yelling, and they go, Alex! Alex! Now, at first this doesn't alarm me, because here's the thing about my van, you guys. On the side of it, it just says, Alex Mackenzie, comedian. So I do get recognized in public quite a bit, you guys. People often stop me and they're like, hey, are you Alex Mackenzie, the comedian? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. They're like, oh, cool, man. You can't park here. So here I am, thinking it's like a Walmart person coming to kick me out of the spot. And I open the door, and there's this elderly woman standing there. And she goes, Alex, do you know who I am? I'm like, oh, one of my grandma's friends? She's like, it's me, Raven. She goes, I drove 7 hours all through the night. The universe told me to come to this exact spot. It definitely wasn't Snapchat Maps. And I get here, and I look up, and you're here. We're meant to be together. And I was like, I can't park here. And I took off. Now, here's where the looksist thing comes in, right? Because had that been like a 20-year-old hot chick, or whatever age I should have just said, I would have been like, oh my God, the universe delivers. What's your star sign? So anyway, I'm in this elevator, right? Now, I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but I do get out, okay? So I'm in there, and now I've exhausted all my resources. I have to now phone emergency services in Australia, which is a little different than calling emergency services back home. So now I have to Google what I think is the stupidest thing in the history of Google, which is, what's the phone number for 911? Yeah. You ever Google something so dumb it just ruins your algorithm? Like, my phone now thinks I have the IQ of a stapler. All of my ads are just for sports betting and like welding equipment, you know? Like, this guy definitely burns rod for a living, for sure. So I phoned, the fire department gets there. It's 000, by the way, if you didn't know the number. And the fire department gets there, and then they pry the door open, and I'm like stuck halfway in between two floors, you know? And then they start looking at each other, and they just start going, yeah, nah, nerd, doing their dumb Aussie talk. And then the one guy looks at me and he goes, hey, mate, just hop out of there, would ya? And I climb out, and I shit you not, 30 seconds goes by, and that elevator drops like 4 floors, just, and I look at him, I was like, hey, what the shit was that, man? I'm like, what if it did that when I was climbing out? And he looks at me and goes, mate, that's a risk we were willing to take. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out here tonight. Now, this is my favorite part of the show. I always like to close my shows with a little heartfelt speech that I give. So I didn't really plan this, how to take my jacket off. I should have done this a little smoother than before. But I don't know. Who knows? Okay.
You're great.
I'm doing good?
Yeah.
On a scale of 3 to 7, 3 being the highest, what would you give that? 8? Thank you. 3 was the highest. She's definitely asking for a refund. For sure. But yeah, just like in that elevator, you know, that I had to take a risk to get out, I think in life you have to take risks. So 5 years ago, I took what a lot of people consider a big risk when I quit my job as a power engineer and I sold my house and everything I owned to pursue comedy. But it didn't seem like a big risk to me. Like the risk-reward ratio seemed right, you know? Because the thing is, the risk is that everything I own is going 100 down the highway every day, okay? So it's like one knee jerk and my life is in the gutter. But the reward is that I get to chase my potential. And I think that's where all the beauty in life is found. Like I would not even be on this stage in front of you guys if I never had the idea to chase my potential. Is look at like, here's who I could be, here's who I am. And just trying to close that gap a little every day. And here's the thing, you're never gonna get here. You never get there and you're like, all right, I'm done. But I'm like, if I could just stop touching myself so much. A little closer, you know? And something else we don't realize in life is that everything is risky. There's nothing that isn't. So that old job I had at the pulp mill, it shut down last year, and it's not even there anymore. So even the safe thing in life isn't guaranteed. So what I always say is like, you gotta go out and take risks. Now the thing that prevents us from doing that is fear and doubt. Our fears and our doubts, we often go like, I don't know if I can make it, is it gonna work out? And we doubt ourselves. And I will tell you, you wanna know the best thing that I've ever learned in my life? Is that the outcome doesn't matter. Like it has very little to do with that. As soon as I learned that, my life was free. It felt so good. I'll give you an example. So say there were like 30 people in the crowd tonight. It went terrible. You guys hated me and you booed me off stage. It's like tomorrow, I'm waking up, I'm working on my craft, and I'm trying to get a little bit better. Now say the complete opposite. Sold out show, you guys love me, this ends in a standing ovation. It's like tomorrow, I'm waking up, I'm getting out of bed, I'm pushing 2 beautiful women off of me. And I'm working on my craft, trying to get a little bit better. So it's like the outcome doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, do you enjoy the passing of time? That's it. And the best way to tell is if you had a remote where you could fast forward for parts of your day, how often would you fast forward that remote? Like in my old job, I would just have that thing stuck down, man. I'd be like, get me home playing Fortnite. All right. But now, if I had a remote like that, I've had so much fun with you guys tonight, I would rewind to the start of this show and do it all over again. Now I always think, what is it that I'm after? Like, what is it that I'm chasing and doing this for? I'm like, is it fame? Is it fortune? And it always comes back to love. Like, I think love is the prize of life. You know, and that's what I always tell people. Like, if someone told me they loved me, this whole thing would end, you know? I'd just wake up tomorrow with my steel-toe boots on and a hard hat going back to the mill. Like, everything is awesome! You know? But every woman I've ever offered my heart to has treated it like a receipt from Dollarama. They're like, oh, no thanks, I don't want it. And then the ones that are too polite to say no, they take it home, crumple it up, and throw it in the garbage. And I've always been insecure and felt unlovable, especially before I started doing comedy. And it came from a young age. Like, my family, we never said I love you. Like, we still to this day, my mom has never said I love you. And if I called my mom right now and I was like, Mom, I love you, she would panic. She'd be like, are you okay? Are you gonna hurt yourself? But something I learned as I got older was that love, it's not a word, it's a feeling, you know? And my parents, they showed me they loved me through their actions. Like, my dad was always there for me, man. Like, I messed up so many times. I remember I crashed my truck at like 3 a.m. when I was 19. Just phoned my dad. I'm like, Dad, I crashed my new truck. I don't know what to do. My dad's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh. Let me put my pants on. I'll be right there. And they were always there for me. And it taught me that love, it's not a word, it's a feeling. And no one taught me more that love is a feeling and not a word than my dog, Finley. So he's a 15-year-old chocolate lab. I used to bring him on all the shows. He would always come out and sit here with me beside the stool when I closed these shows. But now he's really old, and so he's back home with my mom, kind of just in hospice. And he's so cute, man. I love him so much. The thing is, he's doing less than he ever has, and I love him more than I ever have. I really think he was like an angel sent down, because when he came into my life, I was like a 21-year-old, scared, insecure kid. And over the next 15 years, he turned me into a strong, confident man. And he did it all without saying a word. Yeah. So if Finley could teach me anything, you guys, it's that maybe someone would love me if every once in a while I just shut the hell up. Fredericton, thank you guys so much. This has been a dream come true. It's been the best night of my life. I love you. I appreciate you.